Hello and good evening, my name is Morgan and I bid you all welcome back to Risen. Before we get anywhere, we need to stock up on things, because as we learned from the last episode, being a mage requires a lot of mana, as it turns out. Who'da thunk? We don't have any learning points, so we can't really start learning alchemy now, but the thing with alchemy is, well, as we'll learn, a lot of potions require sort of the same base ingredients, and it kind of becomes a whole thing where using those ingredients of the lesser potions while we're able to make them feels like a bit of a waste. So I don't feel much obliged to invest in those until we can learn to make the better ones, which requires us to have alchemy up to level 3 for the best ones. Now, granted, things like wine and phials, you can get a fair amount of them just from merchants, and they're not terribly expensive compared to the potions themselves. Although, 25 for a wine and a vial, and then we have to source the actual mana mushroom ourselves. Kinda comes out to the same as just buying these potions outright, so I really don't think that's worth it. We're going to take what we can get, though. I'm also going to take some open lock, and why not 2 levitate potion scrolls? Because we'll need a couple of those where we're going today. I don't think we need... see, I don't remember if we ever need whole wings. I know wing dust is used for making some scrolls. Bones are used for making some scrolls later on. Scrolls, as I said last time, are really going to be our focus as far as these utility spells. I don't see myself really making use of the runes themselves, investing in the seals. But, we'll see. Luckily at this point we've accumulated a lot of stuff. We don't really need bows anymore because we have magic missiles. I'm gonna hang on to the Ring of the Axe Fighter, not really with any intent, but there may come a point where I have nothing else to do. Like, invest learning points in, and it might as well go into fighting with an axe, because, well, that's the only one skill we're not learning on the other two. So it really doesn't matter which one of these 2 rings we keep, so sell Cravens. That dead fuck doesn't need it anymore. That is barely gonna cover the amount of potions we're buying. What about all these? I'm keeping the gemstones and such in case we need that for some gold smithing later. Again, don't know if we're doing that on this character, but might as well. Alright, well, I guess I'll do it. It is what it is. Barely got no money left. We'll make do. Now, one thing I did want to mention, I ended up going through the whole monastery bit as the Warrior of the Order and trying to compare how they differ from being a mage, and there really is no difference functionally or in, like, story and dialogue. All the dialogues end up the same. The only difference is, obviously, you don't get any dialogue related to learning how to cast runes. Like, the whole ceremony is pretty much identical. You get the same outcomes, the same options, same chats. It didn't matter a whole lot. I remember there was some gold to mine over here. I don't know if I ever actually got around to it. But anyway. Yeah, there is...
This could be useful.
At least one unique quest to the Warriors of the Order later on, and some differing dialogue at some point. So, all the Donsmen, what we kicked out of Harbor Town, end up back here. For some reason, Fincher and all his dudes hang out up there ever since we got that quest and decided not to do it. So that is amusing. We will want to talk to Fincher, though, because it turns out he has the teleporter stone to get back here. Hey, idiots, you got a rat.
Magic right here. Smelled bad on the outside. I hate those beasts.
Me too.
How are things going here?
I'm worried about the temple over to the east. I sent a group of men to the entrance. Our treasure seekers were able to open it, but something's not right. They should have been back here long ago, and I've heard nothing.
Is there a faster way to reach this place?
We've uncovered some sort of made stone at the temple. They say it has the power to move people from place to place in an instant. You might find it useful in the work you're doing for the Dawn.
It is funny they says that, because we're not doing any work for the Don. I don't really know why he seems to suggest that we are working on his behalf here. At this point, all we've gotten from him is the one crystal disc he had, and he's basically agreed that he's not going to harass us doing anything else. But that doesn't mean we're working for him. He doesn't really seem to have any interest in what we're doing. But that dialogue just happens to be the same as if you were one of the Don's loyal men. So, they didn't record a custom line for this one.
I'll see what's happening at the Eastern Temple.
Good. I put Danilo in charge of things over there. Find him, and tell him I'll feed him to the rotworms if he doesn't get a move on. I'll show you where the entrance is on your map. Good luck.
What is that guy doing at the entrance?
You mean Balchuro? He's one of Captain Romanov's men. The old pirate often sends us people. The Don does business with him. Usually some minor racket, nothing important. At least, not for me.
I see.
Well, nothing really to say there. So yeah, for some reason, if you get the quest to go take out Rudolph's camp, but don't actually do it, these guys get stuck here and never go back. Which is rather amusing. But anyway, to get to the temple, you may recall that we did find that once in the distant past. In another world, in fact, as a Donsman ourselves. We hired the treasure hunter brothers to go scout it out as well. And yes, that is where we have to go. But we're not doing that today. That is an obligation for the future. Instead, what I want to do now is what Balchuro asks us, or kind of twisted our arm about doing, which is go talk to Patty. One thing that is kind of annoying about magic is that, unlike other projectiles, such as, well, bows and crossbows, they gain no benefit from headshots, it seems. Which would have at least circumvented some of my complaints in how many enemies seem to survive with a magic pixel of health when you use the magic bullet. But we seem to still be stuck with that. I don't even know if I finished my thought earlier, but yes, Balturo is telling us to go help Patty with whatever it is she's doing, which will obviously have something to do with her long-lost father. But he obviously does not have benevolent intentions with whatever she uncovers there. So that'll be interesting. I'll pop these on as well. Now, before we go there, I don't tend to spend a lot of time exploring in the videos, just because I feel like I need to constantly make actual tangible progress, but we're actually going to do a fair bit of that today. Another reason why I don't care to do it so much is because I find myself at a loss for things to say quite a bit when I go off the beaten track. We aren't actively doing things that sort of advance the plot or get anything done. But we can't put it off forever, so I want to check out what's up in this direction. Obviously, like any old automatic rifle or machine gun, you really just hold down the trigger and start letting bullets fly. You might hit your target and take them out a lot quicker, but you're gonna miss a lot more shots than you land, I think. More gnomes. And a gnome chieftain. That's something we haven't encountered yet. Every few gnome packs you come across will have an extra big gnome. Not really a bigger gnome, but you know what I mean. Otis, what's your problem? Go away. Anyway, that's an woof! Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh my, oh dear. It is important to bear in mind that when you're letting magic missiles fly, you cannot keep walking. Anyway, so one of those gnomes dropped a tool bag, so here's another for you. Add it to the list. And that will not be the last we find today. It is fascinating to me that each of the spells have a different sort of crosshair thing. No real reason other than stylistic purposes. But the magic bullet is, I feel like, the least helpful. Because of how wide it is. Teddy! I got a lot of animals bothering me tonight. And more gnomes. So with gnomes, it pays to kind of bob and weave a bit. It really throws off their aim when they're throwing fish and hammers and whatever at you. Okay, there's another tool bag there. So that's one more up in this part of town. Speaking of town, we got a nice view of the city from here. In all its low LOD glory. I mentioned before how kind of funny it is, how incredibly sharp the horizon is. They didn't really do a good job blending the skybox. But 2009 was a different time. Behold, yet more gnomes. One of the tricky parts is the way the camera kind of gets jostled by environmental collision is another thing that really messes with your aim. Wait! What is this dude scooting around? Just sit still for a damn second. Oh yeah, leveled up. And there's another. So that's 3 tool bags up in this direction so far. Might even be a 4th. Oh. Thought you could get away. And there's a 4th.
This lock is too difficult.
Too difficult. Ain't that a shame? Now, when it comes to runes, the only rune I feel like is really valuable to have, would be the unlock chests room, or, you know, unlock spell in general. Just because it will take quite a few scrolls. Teddy, must you? Right in front of me. Right in front of the keyboard. It'll take quite a few scrolls to unlock all the chests we'll come across in the game. And I don't really remember what it takes to make them. But we also need to find the rune itself. And to learn that rune, it's the 3rd seal of magic, so that's a minimum of 15 learning points just to be able to get that.
Here's some more ore.
So you could spend those learning points on learning lockpicking itself instead. It's definitely not worth it just to... I guess you could argue it's worth it. 15 learning points instead of learning how to pick locks. Because then you have access to all the other runes in Seal 3 and the 2 seals prior.
Did it.
Okay, we could go across here, but I realized I only brought 2 levitate scrolls. We would need one to get back, unless I want to use a teleport zone to get out of there. Or, if I can find a cheeky way down, which I doubt I can. Whatever, we ball. Oh no. But wait, I can ascend. Why did I take sword out? I am not a sworder anymore.
I need more mana.
Oh dear. Pow. Gold coins, a ring. Medium magic healing. We did finally find a rune of our own. That requires Seal 2, which we will never get. But if we were so inclined, we could get that and use that to make healing scrolls instead of having to worry about potions. But we come across enough potions and use so few that I don't think it'll ever actually be worth it. But it's up to you. The healing spells, I believe, do a lot more than potions do. So the medium is 100. Maybe not. Never mind, spells are garbage. So unless I can slip down there, which I really doubt I can, we're gonna have to teleport out of here. Well, I'll be god-darned. Worked quite well. I probably could have survived it even easier. Oh, you know what? Had I had the acrobatics ring on. But I realized we never actually mined this from way back in the day.
Here's some more ore.
Some mo-oh. Alright, well, that didn't really make much difference as far as how far of a hike we have back, so I guess I'll see you again when we are near to Petty. Oh, dear. I've actually never been back here at this point in the game, so I didn't realize it is very fortunate that Sarah managed to get away from this. I don't think she would have dealt with the Maws and the Black Wolves quite so well. Anyway, see you at Patty. So, one of the rings we did get up there is the Ring of the Duelist. Seeing as these are sort of situational rings, it's not a bad one to have. There's a little bit of extra defense should we need it. But should we find another mana boost ring, well, that'll certainly take its place. Actually, before we get on over to Patty, it's worth checking in on town. We've been getting teleport stones to other major locations, so we might as well see if someone has one for us here.
Halt!
What is it?
I see that you have entered our service. You now serve truth and justice.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, totally,
Well,
bro.
I am sure that you are busy. I will not keep you. Go and fight for our cause.
Man, I'm a mage. I'm a man of knowledge, not of combat. Although, seems like all I know is how to kill things very fast.
I have direct orders from the Inquisitor. Let me into the town.
You must be the man who negotiated this peace for us.
I am.
In that case, I'm allowed to let you pass. Just let me know when you want to enter the town.
Let me enter the town.
At once.
Now, hopefully seeing how quickly we're dispatching enemies as we go, I might throw in a little montage of the carnage on the way here. Puts into perspective why I decided to wait so long killing all the enemies that we came across, because it simply was not worth it with our combat skills so low. And there's something gratifying about just completely avoiding enemies that are too much of a hassle to deal with, and then coming through and just steamrolling them later on. The very simple, cathartic style of character development in these games. Anywho, obviously, Commandant Carlos, being the most important man here, probably has the teleport stone we're looking for.
Is there a faster way to reach this place?
Here, take this magic stone. It will bring you back here when you use it.
Terrific. 3 of 14. We actually checked in here? We must have done. Huh? Maybe not. I was expecting it to be locked. Ain't nobody gonna bother me. I love how they just completely stock their barracks with the rustiest, shittiest weapons they have.
That didn't do it. That wasn't it. It worked.
Alright, we got the goods. Well, the goods... The good. The good I wanted. We actually don't have a whole lot to do in town anymore. That's kind of one of my biggest sort of disappointments in this version of the... Or, this version. In this game, compared to Piranha Bytes' older games, is simply the fact that the town doesn't do a whole lot once you're done with it. Like, once you leave it in the first chapter. Like, yeah, the NPCs start getting more... the merchants start getting more stuff. But that's not really a town-centric thing. There aren't really new things to do here. I feel like Corvinus wasn't a whole lot different, but at least a lot of the later chapters still focused on NPCs there.
Sometimes you have to take a risk.
You didn't necessarily see the town change a whole lot, but you still went back there to deal with people. In this game, not so much. It does become a little bit of a focus for a certain point in the Don's service, but for now, and for everybody else, there really isn't much to say. Town's pretty much behind us now. Any dang way. We're here to see Patty. Madam, do you know a man named Balatro?
Do you know a man named Balchuro?
No, never heard the name.
Strange. He seems to think he knows you. Says that his boss insists I help you.
Ha! Well, I bet I know who his boss is. He has no shortage of lackeys. Let's hope he regrets putting us together.
All right. I think it's time you were straight with me. What is going on with your father's letter?
If I tell you something, I'm trusting you. And you better not think about crossing me. So when I said my father was on this island, I meant was.
So he isn't on the island anymore?
No, I don't think so. But I do think he left something here. Something every villain in town would kill his own mother to get hold of.
Man, must be valuable indeed, or they have very shitty mothers.
What is it that your father left?
As soon as I find the next clue, I'll tell you.
What are you planning to do now?
Well, according to the paper you found, my father had a hidey hole somewhere further inland. According to the clue he left, it's in a grave. I need to find that grave.
I'll come with you.
It's your call. I'll lead the way. When you're ready.
I suppose I'm ready.
Can you help me train? Maybe teach me something that will help us with our search.
Sure. I've learned a couple of useful talents.
What can
You can teach just some very basic roguery skills, I guess. Ones we don't need.
Let's go.
Make sure you keep up. I don't want to hang around.
I shall keep up. Lucky for you, I've cleared most of the way, although I think some enemies do actually spawn in during this hike. Which I guess will prove, seeing as I killed everything else on the way here.
Keep close.
Anyway, if it's not eventful, then... Oh, yep, see, that bird wasn't there before, nor was that one.
There's another one. Great.
Now, luckily, Patty is not a... Well, she's an essential NPC at this point, so... If you really wanted to, if you're really lazy, you could let her just take care of business on the way there. But... doesn't really matter to me. We will see you when we're close to our destination, because there's not a whole lot that happens in between. You're better than this, come on.
I live to another day.
Good for you. Uh-oh. Boners! Oops.
Where did these things come from?
Well, they are moldy old skeletons in a graveyard. I assume they came out of the ground.
Keep close.
I'm close.
Finally. This must be it.
I hope so.
There should be something in one of these graves that will give us a clue what my father was up to on this island. Here, take this key. If something happens to me, I want you to keep it safe. If someone else decides to look for the same thing as us, they won't get far without that.
Consider it looked after.
Yeah, right. Try not to lose it, otherwise we're screwed.
Indeed. Well, take a look around at the graves. Some of them are quite lumpy. Gotta be honest, I don't think you want to make such a mounded grave. Probably implies that you did not bury the stiff deep enough. That, in fact, does not look 6 feet under to me. But there's only one grave here, what we can dig. Stands out quite a bit.
A little more for me.
I love how excited he is to dig up this grave when he's so mournful if you click on any of the headstones. Luckily, it was not a true grave. We did not have to dig up any festering old bones to find any secrets within. So what did we find? It looked like a casket. The name Steelbeard is engraved on the casket. No guess this time.
Here, I found this casket in one of the graves.
Let me see. There's something inside. This is it. The next clue. The gods bless you and your shovel.
The gods are gone, lady. Didn't you hear the Inquisitor? No, I guess you didn't.
What does it say?
Are you this quick on the questions with everyone? Or are you working with Romanov?
Ma'am, you brought me here and told me to dig for the thing.
I've got nothing to do with Romanov.
Like that, is it? This shows that my father hid a large part of the gold he looted over the years on this island. He's left a series of clues as to how we get to it, if we can find them.
A pirate with buried treasure. Who'd have thought it?
Might not be original, but no one's found it so far, have they?
No, but Romanov's worked out what your father did.
Yes, and I'm damned if I'm going to let him get his hands on the prize. My father would have a fit if he knew I'd let it fall into Romanov's hands.
Well, your father even still alive?
Have you heard anything about crystal discs?
Are they some kind of artifact?
Yes, from the ruins.
I haven't heard of them. What do they do?
Your father got around the island quite a bit. You think he could have found them? Buried them with his treasure?
It's possible. If he saw them and they're shiny, he'd have taken them. But you're going to have to help me find what I want, for you to find out, aren't you?
Maybe.
Yeah, it seems so.
What do you think Romanov is planning?
He knows about the treasure. He knows I'm looking for it. And one thing is for sure. He'll rear his ugly head as soon as he thinks we're close. You can bet on that.
Oh, I don't think that's a bet I'm gonna take.
So how can I help?
The casket you found contains a clue. I'm just not sure what it means. It says there are 5 unmarked graves on the island. But he won't have put the treasure in those. Far too obvious. Think. Now, my father was always fond of booby-trapping treasure. Maybe that's what's in these graves. Something describing the trap, telling us a way of disarming it.
Then I'll look for these graves. I'm not a fan of nasty surprises.
You do that. I'll try and work out where the treasure is.
So, I'm back doing the dirty work while you sit around.
You wanted to help? Or are you all talk and no trousers?
Ma'am, I am well
I don't
endowed
think
in the
you'd want me
trousers.
to walk away.
What do you mean?
Admit it. I'm growing on you.
Yeah, it can't be that you're simply useful.
If your father's not here, where is he?
I've not seen him for a long time. He could be off sailing foreign seas, locked in a cell somewhere, or rolling in a cot getting girls in trouble. He always says I'm his only child. With the number of women he sleeps with, there must be an army of us out there.
He's the loyal, fatherly type, then.
The storms can take him for all I care. But he owes me that treasure. He knows it too. I think he wanted me to find those clues.
I'm curious how long they've been separated. I don't think that's ever addressed, but her comment that she's definitely not an only child turns out to be true in Risen 3, not to spoil it too much.
All right. I'll investigate these unmarked graves.
Good. I'll mark the sites on your map. And be careful. We're not the only ones looking for the treasure.
I'll keep a low profile.
Ha! You haven't managed that since you arrived on the island.
Indeed, well, my handsome face sticks out a little too much. So. If we take a look at the quest map, it, oh, Nameless Graves, that's the one. So it does show that there are 5 graves what we can find, and one of them is actually not that far away. But the rest of them are quite spread out. Luckily, they're all basically on the side of the island we've been to, so it's not too exciting to get to them. But we are not going to get through that today, because that's an ordeal in and of itself. Instead, well, we've still got some minutes to spare. Thought it would be interesting to take a hike around a route I wouldn't really otherwise have a reason to take, but might as well go on a bit of a journey and, well, have some discussion on some thoughts that have been sort of buzzing around my head lately. As you all know, this channel kind of has become dedicated to, I wouldn't say dedicated, but very focused on walkthroughs as of late, particularly Piranha Bytes games that I am a fan of and feel that I know a fair bit about. But that wasn't really how this channel started. It started as a very casual, cavalier, kind of wannabe Let's Play channel back when those things were all the rage. You just popped on a game you were currently playing, made some wacky commentary, and got millions of views. And to be honest, that was kind of what I hoped the channel would become back when I was younger and much more naive. A college student who didn't really have grand plans in terms of in terms of a career or future or anything, but didn't really pan out that way, did it? This channel has remained quite modest all this time. But regardless, as far as the actual content of this channel, I realized, even before I started this series, I didn't really have any other ideas on what to do next. As it turns out, this is like the last Piranha Bytes game that not only do I feel I know quite a bit about and could actually really offer a tangible walkthrough for, but it's really the last game in general that I have and feel that way about. As far... Sorry, it's actually kind of hard for me to talk and fight at the same time. But as far as, like, the more casual stuff I was doing, I really just completely lost interest in doing that as a YouTube thing. Because... well, mainly because the live streams have kind of taken that over. The live streams became a much more convenient way of doing that sort of thing, because it offloaded any obligation to edit the videos. You know, going through the whole process of rendering and uploading and yada yada, but also the just kind of nice nature of the fact that people can watch it live, chit-chat, shoot the shit, and shenanigans can ensue. And so, as a result, I just don't care to do that on the YouTube channel anymore. Oh god, I'm stuck on a stick. So, yeah, I really want to keep the channel focused on more qualitative videos, I guess. Would you look at that? Dexterity potion.
This lock is too difficult.
Too difficult. Not for this spell, it ain't. But yeah, I don't really have many other games I feel I am as qualified to make an in-depth analysis, discussion, walkthrough, breakdown kind of video like I'm doing here. The Piranha Bytes games happen to be in kind of a sweet spot where they had enough going on to really be worth that kind of deep dissection and analysis.
Better start again.
While also being fairly obscure, at least in the English-speaking gamer community. That it was, I don't know, it was kind of worth my time, and it was a niche that I could fill, and it is a quite modest niche indeed. But I did try and do it with a couple other games in the past, like other favorites of mine, such as Stalker or Shadow of Chernobyl, only to realize that those games didn't really offer the depth of, like, quests and sort of different outcomes and the kind of things. Like, Stalker was a very linear game in the end, in terms of its story progression, and there wasn't really a whole lot that you needed guidance on. A lot of the quests just amounted to go to a place and find a thing. So that kind of fell off, and I just don't really have any other games I can think of that I'm prepared to do that with. Now, at some point in the past couple years, I thought maybe I'd be able to bridge the gap. It was like sort of between Gothic 2 and when I started this. I thought maybe I could bridge the gap between the live streams and the Let's Plays by trying to edit the live streams into more sort of streamlined, better paced videos with more visual gags and stuff thrown in. But turns out streaming 6 to 8 hours every weekend is a difficult thing to keep up with when I'm trying to edit those into sort of highlight videos throughout the week. It took a while to get through what I did, and it kind of threw off how I handled the live streams, because the live streams were, well outpacing the video production. So if I wanted to play a game that I would have edited into highlight videos, I'd have to hold off, or else they would get way ahead of me. So that kind of fell off. I do have a few more streams that I've done in the past I still want to do that with. But the enthusiasm for that waned quite a bit after doing a few of those. And it still doesn't really hit the same notes that something like this does, where I'm actually breaking it down and being very analytical about something I quite enjoy. Pardon. Anyway, yeah, we end up behind the Don's camp here. So, if you ever wondered what was up in the hills yonder, well, we're finding out today. The reason I'm doing this is simply because I really don't have any other excuse to come up here. The game never intentionally sends you this way. But yeah. Simply put, I don't really have any ideas of where the channel's... what the channel's going to focus on after this walkthrough is done. To head off the obvious question, yes, I know when I was out of ideas, I decided to redo the Gothic 1 and 2 walkthroughs. But I have absolutely no interest in doing that for Gothic 3, I'm sorry to say. My last experience with that game was the original walkthrough on this channel, and by God, did that kill any interest I had in that game for good, basically. I never liked that game as much as the two that came before it, for obvious reasons. There's a clear divide in the quality and the intent, both the execution and the design philosophy of that game. That meant it just did not hold a candle to the two that came before it. But it is a very long game with so much jank that I never really want to play it again, to be honest. And I know a lot of people are going to point out mods and stuff that they think make it a totally different game, or the Gothic 3 was meant to be. I can't, dude. Like, I've got so little time left for games these days. I really want to focus my free time on either games I really enjoy to make videos like this, or games like new stuff, experiences I have not had yet. Just because I've only got a few hours each week to commit to games, and I want to make it count, I guess. But anyway, I don't really have a point I'm trying to make. We have an ogre to see here. Now, ogres you see in the wild, just fair warning, are not friendly, not like the ones in town. You can get quite close before they get angry, but... he goes, roar! Luckily, magic machine guns make an absolute mockery of them. You can loot their clubs, which is kind of funny. They have a damage value, but you cannot equip them. They don't even show up in the weapons column. But it is hilarious that they just show up with a comically large Flintstones bone as a weapon. And that's just how they do. But yeah, as far as future YouTube content, I don't have a whole lot of ideas on what to do with it. Yeah, these wolves are kind of hilarious. They don't know how to get down here. So as long as you don't go down there, they just kind of chill. Or you don't go up here. And apparently if you just stand on the ledge, they don't know what to do about you. Pardon, my throat's getting dry. A lot of talking today. Okay, floating potion. Oh dear! Too much potion. Please spill. Alright, dummy. But yeah, as far as future YouTube content, I think what's going to fill the void, as it were, when this is over, because I'm kind of trying to speedrun this to the end, to be honest. I felt like it's loomed over me for too long, and it's, really the reason it took so long is that the town and the monastery bits, the whole first chapter of this game is incredibly tedious if you do everything that's possible. And if you don't do everything that's possible, you're going to miss a lot of it because it does not carry over into subsequent chapters. But, yeah, it's an exhausting process to get through. Especially after I'd done 3 live streams of it and was repeating them in order to do the other 2 guilds, just to make sure they didn't fall behind if there's anything I wanted to show. But, yeah, it's kind of the nuts and bolts of it. I think it's going to be a lot quicker to get through now, because the game, much like Gothic 1, becomes a lot more linear after that point. But as far as what content I do afterwards, as long as this is done in a reasonable amount of time, it'll probably be focused on the 2 upcoming sort of adjacent games, which would be, of course, the Gothic remake and that thing that Jenny and Bjorn are working on. So the kind of coverage videos that I've done in the past, which I kind of fell off with as well, I am interested in resurrecting that kind of content for these 2 titles. So the sort of preview, coverage, and I guess ultimately review content I will get to at some point. And if either of those happen to be good enough, then I suppose they could ultimately become walkthrough kind of content in their own right, but we'll simply have to see. Both of those will start as live streams for the initial experience, so don't expect videos of this type for those day 1, to be sure. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Beyond that, I really have no ideas, so I guess time will tell. I will come up with those ideas when we get there. Cross that bridge when we come to it. Now, unfortunately, we don't have a bridge to cross here, but we do have magic wings. And this, I'll be honest, it was between the live streams and starting this walkthrough that I ever learned you could get over here. I'd love to know how these wolves got here. But it's certainly worth getting over here because, well, there's an object I simply never knew about that can be extremely helpful. There's a whole camp here as well. I believe this camp actually becomes occupied at a later point in time. But I double-checked, the character I expected to occupy it is not here now. We have another axe fighter ring and the levitation rune. In all my years playing this game in the past, which I'll admit I only ever played through this game like 3 or 4 times, never found that rune. I was pretty much convinced that it didn't exist. It was like one of those items that probably was in the game files, but they neglected to actually put it in the game world. But nope, they always did, and it was always here. If you so desire, you can actually get down there, slap on the acrobatics ring, and you'll get down there alive. We're gonna head this way, because I saw one more ogre, and I feel like we might as well teach him a lesson before we wrap it up for today. What's this other ring I got? Strength? No need. Bah! Big ogre. We got more war crickets. Blah! That absolute ridiculous bone. What critter on this island even yields such a massive bone? Now, we got a quite imposing facade here. This is a place we'll get to in the future. Not really worth our time now. If you were bold, by all means, go and explore. This is kind of one of those occasions where I don't see a reason to do this early. But the whole route we took back there, no point in the game really sends you that direction, so it's just something I simply wanted to do on screen. And it coincided quite nicely with a sort of monologue I wanted to, I guess, get off my mind. Anyway, so that's that. That's where we'll wrap it up for today. Next episode, we'll probably focus on finding all the nameless graves for Patty. And yeah, because all these crystal discs are probably going to take an episode in their own right, so that's going to be the one we focus on next time. But for now, hope you all enjoyed. And until next time, hope you all stay safe, stay healthy, and see you later.